Hello friends and greetings for the day. Welcome back to another tutorial on ISTQB Advanced Level Test Analyst Certification. We are getting started with Chapter 5 talking about software defect prevention. And as a part of today's tutorial, we shall be talking about the very first segment, that is defect prevention practices. And we'll definitely discuss in this segment that how exactly defects can be prevented altogether, where we can reduce some of our efforts in dynamic testing. As in when we talk about defect prevention, the whole goal is to talk about how we can prevent a defect to be propagated into subsequent phases. So in simple words, prevention is not about avoiding a defect to happen, but rather to prevent it in the phase where it was introduced. So in simple or a very easy way to relate this with an example, I do find defects in dynamic testing, which is like unit integration system, which might be related to requirement misunderstanding or misimplementation. Or even I can say that these requirements were incomplete, incorrect, etc. But the question is, you found the defect in integration testing, however, the defect was introduced as a part of the requirement gathering phase itself. So, did we do a requirement review? Yes or no? If we did it, then why didn't we identify it? If we didn't do this, then certainly that's something which is possible because you are finding defects related to static testing in dynamic testing. So defect prevention is a context where we are talking about how exactly we can participate early in the life cycle and look forward to prevent the requirement related defects to propagate into design, and same way design related defects to be propagated into code and code related defects to be propagated into dynamic testing. Because at each of these phases, we conduct a review, making sure that it finds defect early and prevents it altogether. So in this section, we are trying to talk about a few things like that. And the very first thing we are talking about is a quick introduction to what is this context all about. First of all, the goal of the defect prevention is to implement actions that reduce the likelihood or reoccurrence of the defect in work product and mitigate the propagation of defects to subsequent phases of the SDLC. These efforts result in a variety of important benefits, including reduced costs and labor, increased productivity, and improved product quality. And defect prevention is also the responsibility of the whole team and certainly not something what we take care of alone. So point being made is, just now what we just discussed to set up the context, the whole thing is to avoid the overall time which we invest in handling these defects later in the life cycle compared to that of identifying them early in the life cycle. Also to add right here, on the other hand, the test analyst is someone who can utilize their specific knowledge, because considering test analyst as a senior engineer should certainly use their knowledge and experience to contribute to it. Now, defect prevention practices can include or includes prevent defect introduction altogether, which is a part of quality assurance activities, prevent defects from escaping to subsequent phases, which we'll talk in a deep dive in the next segment, and also prevent defects from reoccurring. So it's just not about avoiding it to occur again and again, it's also about avoiding it to occur altogether, which is the phase introduction itself. Now, to deep dive into this particular part, we would like to take a little more deep discussion to understand how we can prevent defects from occurring. The next thing to talk about, of course, is the defect prevention practices. So what are the different methods which we can make use of, or approaches and practices which can help us to prevent defects from happening? A test analyst can contribute to defect prevention in several ways using their domain knowledge, testing expertise, and analytical skills. Examples include all of these, what we can see here. Number one, participating in the risk analysis, ensuring that the identified risks are properly mitigated. Number one, of course, a tester does not need to, think that risk analysis is not my responsibility. And of course, I'm not saying that you're not doing that at this point of time. You're doing it, but is that efficient and effective? Is the question. So participating effectively and efficiently to the risk analysis will help us to identify those problems which we are supposed to mitigate. And by doing so, we are prepared for it. So that's where we can look forward to as a practice which can help us reduce the number of defects. Also reviewing requirements, model, and specification. allowing early detection of defects in the test basis, preventing them from escaping into the code, thus significantly raising the cost of fixing them. So indeed, we just discussed a moment back that review is one of the ways by which we can prevent a defect to be propagated into the subsequent phases, and that's where this is one of the common method to do that. The third one is, of course, participating in the retrospective, where retrospective allows the identification of potential improvements in any of the test phase, be it about analysis, design, implementation, or execution, to better prevent defects from escaping. Remember one thing, retrospective is just not about a call to action or a ceremony where we just sit together to discuss what we could have done better, but it is also a practice to identify the gaps in the process which we can use to prevent defects from the upcoming sprints. So remember, improvement is not only the work product, improvement is not only in the process, it is even about preventing defects. So, of course, you're getting a ceremony, let's make most out of it. Also, to add here, defect data collection and evaluation. Right from your defect report, you can get a lot of information about root cause analysis and process improvement. And thus, it can help you to prevent defects from these information. So quickly to just share an example here, and when we talk about defect root cause, they tell us where did we get the problem from. And from the root cause, we can understand that this is what the common mistakes we are making. And taking that into context, we can reduce the number of defects occurrences or prevent them. So yes, defect reports, when collecting such information, can help you to prevent defects down the line. And finally, participating in RCA. So again, most of the companies, most of the team thinks that developers are only responsible for it, but participating into that can prevent defects from reoccurring by proposing corrective actions to address the identified root cause. So being a test engineer or test analyst, your participation to the root cause analysis not only helps you to assist them, but also helps to prevent the defect from reoccurring, because now it has already happened, but at least it should not reopen in future by contributing your view and perception. The second thing to talk about on the same note is to further deep dive and understand few other practices. In addition to participating in defect prevention, the test analyst assesses whether the proposed measure have resulted in the desired effect. Examples of matrices that help to evaluate the effectiveness, and these measures are listed here. The most important thing, if you remember in the beginning, we told you that it is equally important to measure whether your efforts are efficient and effective or not. If it is not, you're just wasting your time. And that is where the whole goal is. So DRA, when we talk about that, is defect removal efficiency, is a metric which can help you measure that. For example, it measures the ratio of defect removed before the release and total number of defects altogether. The number of unknown denominator can be estimated or replaced by the actual total number of defects found up to a certain point in time. That means whenever you were expecting, have you got that delivered at that time? Because of course, as a part of the plan, you will certainly look forward to dedicate some number of defects that, okay, before production, before going live, we are anticipating to identify around 50 defects. Did you achieve that or early in the life cycle or not? And if you have achieved that, your process is efficient. If not, then you're not. Okay, no matter what you're doing. Similarly, high DRA indicates fewer defects escape to production, which might imply better defect prevention practices. So the higher it is, the better it is. However, DRA does not distinguish defects caught through prevention and detection. So DRA will not help you identify that how many defects were identified by prevention or detection, but the point is the number of defects you identify is more, the better the process, better the effectiveness of your activities are. And another one is, of course, the PCE, phase containment effectiveness, which measures the number of defects introduced and removed in the same phase relative to the total number of defects introduced in that phase. High PCE indicates that the fewer defects escape to later phases. So two words here, phase containment and phase escape. Phase containment simply represents when you identify a defect and resolve the phase of introduction. Both are same. Okay, detection and introduction, both the same phase are same. Escape means, of course, leakage. So which means that when the phase of detection and introduction are different. Simple example, if a Defect was introduced in the requirement gathering, but you found it during coding. It's called as phase escape. But when you have introduced a defect in the requirement phase, but doing requirement review had helped you to identify the defect, that means phase containment. Of course, so phase containment count and ratio should be higher than the phase escape to measure the effectiveness. And the last one, of course, is the cost of quality, which illustrates the relation between the defects prevention, defect detection, and removal cost, which put together represents that how efficient your test activities are in the overall success. So certainly the cost of quality is the amount of time, effort which is invest in testing a system, but the lesser it is, the better the productivity or better the effectiveness. The higher it is, it's poor. So that basically describes how exactly we can implement some of the defect prevention practices as a part of our process and look forward to reduce overall cost of quality. However, this chapter is going to deep dive about the same in other upcoming tutorials, but for now, this was just to set up the context and introduction about what is defect prevention altogether and how it can be achieved. So that's all from this particular tutorial team. Should you have anything else, feel free to comment below. I'm always there to address your queries and answer them well. Till then, keep learning, keep exploring, keep understanding the context. Thanks for watching the video team and happy learning.